welcome back to my channel. This is a different video. We got the legend over here, Will. Flew all the way down from London, England, and this has been a very well requested collab. You guys have seen on social media that we're clearly boys, and I posted on my social media, ask us some questions, so I'm going to pick the top questions and we'll answer them back and forth. I'll go, he'll go, and then we'll hopefully be able to teach you guys some stuff. At the same time, learn a little bit more about us on a personal level, depending on the questions. I haven't seen them just yet, but let's jump into the first one. All right, Will, so the first question here is, how did you come across one pair, one time frame? Trial and error, or were you suggested it?
It's a tricky one. Well, I've seen a lot, like when I started learning, looking through courses and stuff, people suggested sticking with one thing, so picking one thing and sticking with it. And a lot of people suggest one pair. So I kind of took this to the extreme and thought everyone teaches 4 or 5 different time frames, top-down analysis, multiple different strategies, different setups. And I saw people were looking on the 4 hour, looking like a buy. They go down to the 15 minutes to scale down, but then their other strategy says looking like a sell. And people, I feel like they just have conflicting views. So I was like, what I'm going to do, pick one pair, ideally in the session which you can trade in your country. So obviously in Canada here, you won't be able to trade in London session unless you want to wake up at like ridiculous hours. And then you just have to test, once you've picked that pair, once you've picked the session, what strategy works the best. Let's say you have 2 different ways of entering trades or 2 different execution types. Just simply pick the one that is most profitable with that pair, and also which time frame. So it's pretty much trial and error, learning from someone that suggested it in the first place, and then kind of took it to the extreme levels just from backtesting and collecting data. But if you are going to pick one pair, make sure it's a pair that you actually like trading, not one that just makes the most money or has the most volatility. So I know a lot of people just pick gold because, like you've probably seen, they just like how it moves hundreds of pips per session. But if you can't actually trade this well, then you're probably not going to do as well as maybe a slower pair.
No, that's the beauty thing about trading, is like you can morph it pretty much to whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. I mean, I'm sure there are some pretty bad wrong ways to trade, but at the end of the day, if one session, one pair works for you, then that's amazing. If you're watching this video, don't just go jump into the live markets and do that. Like Will's tested so much. I can't even imagine how many times you've back tested. We're both huge on back testing. But it's cool how, you can get the same results as someone each month with a completely different trading style. And at the end of the day, I feel like when we first come into trading, there's a picture painted that it has to be complicated. I know for myself, I thought learning the most I can possibly learn is going to give me better results, when in reality I've realized that it only brings complications, and the best way to trade for me, in my opinion, is simplicity, something that you can execute over and over and over again. And that's like what you can do with your 15-minute or whatever time frame it is that you use. Replication, right? You know exactly what you're seeing, X, Y, Z, enter the trade. Instead of, like you said earlier, 15-minute looks like this, but the hourly looks like this, but the 4-hour looks like this. At the end of the day, guys or girls, if you're watching this video, test and find what works for you. There's no right or wrong way to trade, but just make sure you're getting your reps in back testing and you're able to paint that picture for yourself. And if it's one pair, that's amazing. If it's multiple pairs, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's what works for you. But thanks for sharing that one. And let's jump on to the next one. All right, this is probably the most requested question that we have. Will he make a full tutorial on how to grow a beard?
I would speak about trading, and I'd speak about risk management, finance and stuff, but the secrets which I actually have about this beard, you guys wouldn't even understand. If you want to truly grow a beard, what I personally did was I went to Dagestan and I trade with the Nurmagomedov family. And if you're trading with these genetic beasts, beard wise, you start to evolve. So I do think that people that don't have a beard, they don't trade as well because
Why?
because I feel like it's a protector. So the beard's kind of there, scientifically speaking,
It's like a stop loss.
it literally is a stop loss for life. Because let's say someone comes up, tries to punch me, beard, boom, protects me. But also, if I'm getting bad vibes from the charts, maybe I'm in a loss, before it hits my face, has to go through the beard, and the beard usually stops it, so I'm always feeling nice and upbeat. As you guys can tell, I'm always super happy. And if you want to grow a beard, use some beard oil maybe, or just man up, and then the beard just usually comes with that. Obviously, as you see, Mack over here hasn't yet grown up, so that's why he doesn't have the full beard, and he's only got a few little strands of hair over there. But obviously, if he followed the tutorial, then maybe he'd get to that sort of stage of beard growth in his life. Would you ever grow the nice big full beard, or you're not actually able to?
All right, first of all, I just want to congrats to you on your title defense versus Volkanovski. It's funny how, if you don't get this joke, so if you're familiar with UFC, you'll understand what he just said. If not, you're going to think he's just on a different planet. But yeah, the beard does help a lot. I'm sure it does. I shave every couple days, so I don't know if I'll be able to grow mine out for the past 5 years like you did to get it to that length. But thanks for that. That's honestly been the most well-requested question. There's probably like 15 questions here literally about your beard. So I'm sure a lot of people watching this are happy that they finally know why and the benefits of having one.
We're always happy to help.
Thank you. All right, this is a beautiful question. What is the best way to build up a personal account? Use prop firms, payouts, or your own money? What do you think?
Well, you can answer first on this one.
Oh, okay.
If you want.
So in my opinion, I would say prop firms and using prop firm payouts to fund the personal account. I think that is the best way. When I first went full-time myself, I had my own personal account and I had no idea about prop firms. It wasn't until I started growing on social media or even starting a social media platform, you guys know what I mean, that I didn't realize or find out about prop firms. And the opportunity that we have with prop firms is literally endless. It's unbelievable. And Will's one of the best prop firm traders I personally know. And I know the amount of payouts that he's had have significantly helped your personal account. And if I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but I swear you have a video where you talk about how some of your payouts you would automatically deposit in your personal account each month. But I think this is just an unbelievable opportunity. So if I was just starting out, I would honestly trade on a demo or a small personal account to gain the skill set, and then I would go right into prop firms once I was able to with my data on backtesting. If you're consistent, FX replay, link in description. You can backtest and find out your totals and stuff like that and your numbers. And then once you have that confidence in yourself, then I would suggest jumping into prop firms because we don't know how long they're going to be there. We don't know how long, with the whole MFF situation. I do believe I am bullish on prop firms though right now. But again, just using that opportunity while it's here because we don't know, and then funneling that into a personal account because with prop firms, obviously, the amount of capital that you're able to trade for such a little investment is almost silly to pass up.
I'm probably in total agreement with that, but I'd also say that people need to focus from the very start in their trading on building a personal account, because I see a lot of people at the start of their trading, they focus on demo at the start, and people recommend this because you need to get used to actually entering trades and trading strategies and everything like this. But I think psychology is very, very important. So getting used to trading live accounts is the most important thing. And especially with prop firms, if you are trading them just to fund your personal account, it can also be quite dangerous because if you're not actively trading that personal account as well, you're still trading demo account as your full-time account. So it's all good making the profits and then transferring them to the personal account. But if that's not being traded, then let's say you lose your funded account or the prop firm shuts down, then you're going to be stuck because you're used to trading a demo account where the losses don't actually come out of your pocket and you just keep going, and pretty much unlimited accounts which you can have with these firms. So you're going to use the prop firms, percentage of the profits, obviously after tax, after expenses, if it is your main income, used to funnel into a personal account, but also have the personal account as your main focus, because at the end of the day, if you need to withdraw money, let's say your car breaks down, you need to pay unexpected expenses, then a personal account can fund this, whereas a prop firm can't. So the way to grow a personal account is to obviously compound, and as the money goes up, you increase your risk. And the way I personally do this, let's say I'm trading with a £100,000 account. I trade the account to 110k. That is then when I'll up the risk to trading 1% of 110k. But I see a lot of people that go to 101k, 105k, start upping the risk straight away, then end up straight back down at 100k. So make sure you have that buffer before you start risking more on this account to actually compound it. And also pay attention to people on social media that act like it's realistic for you to grow your account by 30 or 40% per month. Whereas if you just simply put it into a compound interest calculator, 10k account, 20% a month, consistently, 1.5 years, and you're a billionaire. So just make sure you're not going in with unrealistic expectations before you actually try and grow the personal account.
That's good. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that's amazing advice. And just to backpack onto what you were saying there, unfortunately, social media, it's an amazing blessing as well. But for myself, it took me a while to break free from the typical 1 to 20, 1 to 30s that you saw on social media, because I trade some smart money concepts. So that big risk reward was something that I got not shiny balled into, but that's what got me into it. And then I quickly learned that, those guys aren't actually doing that. And if you are, that's unreal. But I just mean, like, odds are most people that are posting that aren't. And when I look at the people around me, like Will and some other traders who are just smashing it on these prop firms, the best advice from all of them is a couple of percent per month, because you can replicate that month after month after month. And it's not that hard. When you have a winning strategy, 2 to 3% per month isn't hard to do, in my opinion, once you have your consistency down and your strategy. And it's the 10% targets that prop firms implement that makes it a little bit more difficult. But now that we have no time limit and stuff, I think it's a lot easier. But yeah, just remembering a couple percent per month is great. Really, really good. Repeat it over a year, 2 years, right? It's very, 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 very good. Don't fall for the trap of you have to be doing 20, 30, 40% like you just said. That took me a long time to break free from, and I appreciate you because you were one of the people who helped me get away from it. So let's jump on to the next question. Are you and WillssFX using the same strategy? Do you both see and take the same setups? No, we don't use the same strategy whatsoever. But there are times where we will be in a similar trade, but no, we trade completely different. Again, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, trading is amazing, right? You can get the same result. You can be in the same trade as someone with a completely different trading style. That's what I love about it. But no, we definitely trade differently for sure. I'm more high time frame, top down analysis. And then I look to enter on, the 5 or 15 minute time frame or the M1, which I'm trying to get away from now for a little bit, just stressing me out, and I don't want to age any more than I am. And yeah, it's as you talked about earlier in the video, simplicity. You use one pair, one time frame that works for you. So no, we trade differently. We trade different pairs as well. He trades GU and London session. I don't trade GU at all. I actually hate the pair. You guys have seen me probably tweet on Twitter. Can't stand the pair. I know this is probably going to make you super upset, man, but just wasn't my pair, man. Just wasn't my pair. All right, I'll find another question here for Will. All right, you got this one. How do you guys know each other?
Well, it's actually quite funny how this question has come around at this sort of time, because I actually saw Mr. Mack over here on Instagram, and I actually requested him to come on my podcast, and he said no. So, and it's funny because this is pretty much like a podcast. So, I will beat him up later for that first time he did actually decline me. But obviously, it's very nice of him to let me stay with him for the 10 days that I'm here in Canada. Mm-hmm. And if you guys want his course for free, then let me know, and I will send the file over to you guys. But yeah, we have a lot of the similar interests as well, which I feel like is good, especially if you're friends with people through business, because if you're only talking business just over and over and over again, it can get quite boring. If you have similar interests, like we're obsessed with UFC, golf, making tons and tons of money, obviously, and because we're interested in exactly beards. I'm not really sure how watches. can't really talk about the beards if you don't have a massive beard. But yeah, watches, got to love a nice watch. As you guys see, we are actually matching today for this video. Got to love it. But yeah, if you are trading and you want to make trading friends, definitely have some hobbies. Otherwise, it'll be quite boring because you're literally just going to be talking about charts and profits just over and over again. But yeah, make sure you make friends with people that aren't just interested in being friends with you to learn your strategy or to make money from you or to use you for views and that sort of thing. So definitely be careful with that.
Yeah, for real. Like, just to add on to that, like, especially into this space, like, you have to have a similar hobby with someone. Otherwise, it becomes tough to dictate whether they're there because they want to use you, which has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you as well. Or it's strictly business. But having interests similar to Will, we barely talk about trading, honestly. Like, rarely. We're always talking about UFC, talking about watches, talking about fighting each other, which he's lucky he doesn't, because I'd probably tap him out right here. But yeah, just be careful. And obviously it's awesome having Will in my circle because he's helped me. You guys, like, he's one of the top trader friends that I have, and he's helped me a lot with psychology and how to trade these funded accounts the proper way. And yeah, so it's great. Yeah, it's crazy how social media, we live on opposite ends of the world, and it brought us together. So the platform can be a good thing. It can be used correctly, but just make sure you're auditing your circle, on here, and make sure the people that you have messaging you, reaching out, are actually there for you. And yeah, it's a blessing, honestly. How does Will manage his personal accounts versus funded accounts in terms of risk management? This is a good one.
Okay, so if you guys have watched my channel, then you'll know that I trade my personal account with very, very little risk. And if you've seen my prop firm videos, then I trade with kind of a more aggressive style. And the main reason for this, and the main reason why my personal accounts hold a lot more value to me, and I'd like to not be in a lot of drawdown, is because it's 100% of my own money. Whereas with a prop firm, especially with the challenge phases, a lot of people say that I trade recklessly, and because I scale into positions, you obviously have to make 10% to pass to phase 1. And with a 1 to 3, I can pass that due to my scaling plan. And people often say it's very, very aggressive, very reckless. But I say with a high win rate, I can scale into these. And main reason behind this is because I'm not making money from it. You don't make money from a challenge. So why would I want to be trading for 60 days, which it used to be when I used to make those videos? Total challenge time could be 60 to 90 days if you did the maximum time. And I don't want to be trading for 60 days or 2 to 3 months with no profit in my pocket from it. So I'd rather, let's say you fail a couple challenges. It's not the end of the world, because I know, and I have the money obviously outside of the prop firms, and I'm trading my personal account with low risk, consistently making profit, like we previously mentioned, consistently compounding. And then the prop firm accounts are literally to grow as much money as I can in the shortest time possible. I talk about on the channel people that don't have all these other sources of income or don't have large personal accounts should focus on making little profit on prop firms, because a little profit is still a lot in the comparison to the average monthly salary in the majority of countries. Let's say you have 200 to 400k in funding. If you make 2% per month, that's 4,000, 8,000 pounds or dollars, and $8,000 a month is over 12 months, almost at $100,000 in a year. So by making 2%, you can be almost in the top 1%, I guess, in most countries, or the top 10% of earners. But if you're trying to be aggressive, then you can obviously make, as you guys have seen, I think in June had like 28% on prop firms, and those are obviously big payouts. But the personal account, you're only making like 2%, 4% per month. And the reason that I'm not trying to be as aggressive on my personal account, even though the results are there on my prop firm accounts, is because I know that at the end of the day, my money's still there, and as long as it's growing like somewhat like at all, then that's good for me, because the money otherwise would just be sat in a bank, maybe getting 3% interest. So that's the reason why I trade them differently, and I wouldn't really change it, because unless they change their rules or they change the regulations and how much you can withdraw and the withdrawal times, I pretty much trade it the same going maybe into the next couple of years.
All right, so the next question here. How do you control your emotions when you lose? So for me personally, having data that shows that my strategy is consistent and profitable, right? At the end of the day, that's what removes all emotions for me, in my opinion, because if I have the data from backtesting and I know my plan works, then I don't care about each individual loss, right? At the end of the day, each singular trade doesn't really matter. I know I have an edge over the market over a collective of trades, right? So that's honestly helped me big time. When I first started trading, obviously I didn't have a trading plan at all, and there's no model to go off of. There's no average wins or losses that you usually have. There's no probability model whatsoever. So there was a month where I literally lost 20 trades in a row because I had no trading plan and I was just trading what I was seeing without any back testing, right? And it's funny to look back on that, but that month was one of the hardest times of my life, and that month actually is what brought me enough pain to make the decision, okay, I'm doing something wrong here. I got to fix something, right? So for me, emotions go away when I have the data backing up my strategy, right? And another thing is, if you are feeling emotions coming in, say you take a loss and you feel emotions popping into your head, just get off, because as emotions rise, intelligence goes down. I'm sure you watching this right now, drop a like if you've been very, very upset that you lost a trade. You jump in right away thinking it's still valid, or maybe you got swept and then you lose again. You lose twice on the same losing analysis, right? And just reminding yourself that you can have your A+ setup. You can still lose that A+ setup. So how do you get over the emotions and stuff, man?
Well, I don't actually lose, so I'm just going to talk about how I would probably think if that did actually happen.
True.
I feel like with trading, exactly like what you said, if you know your strategy works and you know that you're going to lose, obviously if your strategy has a 100% win rate, you either have the best strategy in the world or you're just delusional. Mm-hmm. And let's say you have a 70% win rate. Technically speaking, you could lose out of 100 trades, 30 trades. So if you've had a nice winning streak, you have to expect to lose. Even if you lost 2 trades in a row, you still have to expect to lose. So I know that my longs currently have an 82% win rate. So I know that there's an 82% chance that I actually win on this setup. So you just need to look at the stats and think, my strategy isn't perfect. Not every trade is going to be perfect. Not every trade is going to win. And it is inevitable that you're going to lose. If I had a strategy that had a 99% win rate or a 100% win rate, I don't think we'd be sat here right now. We're on a massive yacht, because you could sell that strategy to anyone. You could literally risk your whole account on every single trade and you just win every time. But that's why we implement risk management, trade management, because we know that we're not going to win every time. And once you have accepted this, your emotions don't really affect your trading at all. Once you have the big wins, I feel like that is more dangerous if it affects you, because if you go into the next trading day after a big win, that's when you can usually make the biggest mistakes. Mm-hmm. Because you're on a massive high, you think, oh, I'm the best trader in the world. This is also the case if you're passing challenges, mm-hmm. because you just passed the phase 1, you just passed the phase 2, now you are a funded trader, and a lot of people claim to be 6-figure traders, but it's a load of rubbish. You're trading with, 10k? But if you know your strategy and you've backtested it, then there's literally no reason to be emotional. It's harder to obviously implement into live trading whilst the emotions are actually going on in the trade. The main thing that actually helped me with wins and losses was distracting myself from the charts. So oftentimes, especially you guys, you've seen in the live trading videos, those emotions are exaggerated. So I don't actually act like that. I'm not actually sat staring at the charts, praying to the Forex gods that's actually going to go in my direction. But what I'd actually suggest that you guys do is go outside, have a hobby, multiple hobbies, even better, maybe work on other businesses. So what I do is I enter a trade, stop loss is set, take profit set. So now the emotions can't affect me during the trade. And I know it's a high chance it obviously wins. There's a chance it obviously loses. And if you don't let the emotions affect you, let's say you're out playing golf. The trade hits the stop loss. You go back. Oh, trade hit the stop loss. Is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. What you do now, journal that trade. What happened? Did you make any mistakes? A lot of people think that if they lost a trade, that they have to have made a mistake, or they have to have not traded, as they should have traded. But if your strategy isn't 100% win rate, then you're not going to win every time anyway. And a lot of people go so deep into their trades that they just ended up, after a loss, so down, and they don't really know what to do with themselves. But you just need to think that in the long run, 1 loss, 2 losses, 5 losses in a row isn't going to matter. If the next 5 years, 5 losses, you won't even remember it. You probably don't even remember a loss from 2 months ago. So why would you let it affect you in the current moment?
No, I like that a lot. And just to add a different perspective on it, like look at sports teams, for example. They get scored. They're not going out there and expecting to get a shutout every single game and win the game. You get goals against, but what matters is you're up. On average, you have more wins than losses, or you score more goals than the other team, right? So losses are all a part of it. Just look at it as a business expense, right? With trading, we're very, very blessed and grateful. We don't have employees. We don't have any of that overhead. At the end of the day, we just have losses, right? Wins and losses, and those losses, just chalk it up to the game, chalk it up as a business expense, cost of doing business. I heard someone say this years ago, and it helped change my mindset. I completely forget who, but yeah, it's just cost of doing business. So that was a great answer, man.